It's time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi, guys. Welcome back. And we have a lot to unpack from The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 6, Episode 2. Guys, you know how this works. I can't do this alone, so I have the very lovely Lailah Lynn joining me today. We've seen and met each other on The Grace Report. Such a nice YouTube personality, and I wish, honestly, if we lived closer, I would get to know her even better. But today is a starting point. So with that, let me welcome up Lailah Lynn. Hi, how are you?
Hi, what's up, Adam?
No, I'm just, I'm excited to be here and to have you on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate the invitation. It's like an honor to be on your channel. So thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, right. You with your subscribers and the content that you're constantly posting, I should say it's an honor to have you on. So I just really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course. Well, with that, we know that we're here to talk about The Real Housewives of Potomac. Obviously, I made the thumbnail about Dr. Wendy Osefo calling Mia Thornton, our newbie, a liar and pretty much a stripper. We're going to jump into all of that, but I do want to ask you first, how are you feeling about this season?
I'm so excited for this season. Like, this is my favorite franchise. The Potomac Girls that's my favorite franchise. So I'm so excited for it. And I feel like it's going to bring it. I feel like, based on last season, it's kind of like, I know a lot of people are thinking like, what are they going to do next? Because last season was like all about around like one issue, the whole Monique and Candace thing. Right. So people might be feeling like, what is really going on here? But I actually feel like Potomac is going to bring it this season. And I feel like it's going to be their best season because I feel like they are at that point in the franchise where friendships, this sounds bad, but friendships have officially been broken. Like Karen and Giselle, I don't think will ever be repaired. So I feel like it's going to be like a drama-filled season. They're at that point.
And it's like you said, at that point when you're at season 6, we're kind of getting over the hump where they're not so new to us anymore. We're getting to know them, and they really hold our attention. Of course, last season, I feel like with every Housewives franchise, we always get a main storyline, whether it's Puppygate, Strippergate, Pantygate, Monique and Candace's fight. So it really held the season. This season, if you had to come up with something that might be the main central storyline, what would you guess that it would be?
I would guess that the two main characters would be Karen and Giselle. I feel like this season is going to center around Karen and Giselle. And I know we see other conflicts brewing, but I feel like the main conflict is going to be between Karen and Giselle. The two people who knew each other before the show and the two people who, when they spill tea on each other, like it looks to be true tea. I think that's going to be the main storyline this season.
I mean, they're ruthless. I do want to bring this up really quick. Love you, Adam Ghostly Gamer. Thank you so much for the super chat. I always mix those up. But no, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button, show some love. I do have a poll posted in here, so go ahead and take the poll too. But getting back to Giselle and Karen, we picked up where we left off in the premiere, and they're still at the nude interlude party, and they're going back and forth. Karen is claiming that Giselle has a hot box from Sing Sing, and she had to explain exactly what that means. And it is kind of entertaining to watch these two, even though I do feel bad because they both sort of get ruthless on each other. And some people, I was reading comments and they're like, how can Karen be so hateful to Giselle? I'm like, guys, hashtag tax reform. There have been moments where Giselle has been a little ruthless as well. So
it's so premeditated when it comes to Giselle, like taking the time to make a t-shirt, that means you sat down, you came up with the design, you saw how she had it on the back of her shirt, taking that type of time to make a t-shirt, to shade somebody who at one point you called a friend. I can understand Karen's ruthlessness towards Giselle because it wasn't just a random comment where sometimes you might get in an argument with your friend and they say something that seems like, in the heat of the moment, like they feel like they have to say this. She made t-shirts. She made t-shirts. She made t-shirts.
You're not wrong about that. And Karen did, have the conversation in this episode and talk about the fact that she feels like this whole feud originally brewed from the conversation that Ray had with Giselle. And it was him just letting her know, look, over time, looks fade. So you need to find a man that, and I think what he was trying to say is that is interested in your personality, in your big heart, in your family. It's not always going to be about looks for forever. But Giselle being witty and sarcastic as she is. And her confessional was like, listen, Ray will be eight in the ground. These looks fade. And Karen took like wishing death on her husband. I think that's a little bit of a reach. I think she was just trying to be funny and sassy. But would you take offense to that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would take offense to it if I was Giselle and if I was Karen. Because from Giselle's end, it sounds like misogynistic. It sounds like Ray was being misogynistic by telling her she needs to find a man, when in reality, she don't need to find a man. Like, she's fine. You know what I mean? She's fine single. But Ray is older. And sometimes, personally, I give older people a pass. Like, when they say things that are kind of like, misogynistic or whatever, sometimes I might take offense, but I might not confront them or say anything because I know they come from a different generation. Right. But I can see why Giselle took offense. But then I can also see why Karen would take offense, because she's referencing the future death of her husband. You know what I mean? Like, that's offensive to me. That's offensive.
It's offensive. It's offensive. But there's, one thing that kind of bothers me about this is that Giselle knows that she always has a built-in sidekick in Robin. And I'm kind of waiting for Robin to wedge herself out of Giselle's web, to kind of get out of this and become her own person. Because after 6 seasons, I'm like, Robin, you have to stand on your own. You're always there to automatically defend Giselle. And it makes me wonder, is it the same reason that, like, let's say Real Housewives of New Jersey, Jennifer Aydin links herself to Teresa Giudice? It's like they know Giselle's going to be here. So if I stick with Giselle, I'll stay on the show. Do you think maybe that's why she does this? Because it kind of, at a certain point, it's like you need to be your own mouthpiece eventually.
She needs to. I do agree with that, but I don't think she will. And yes, I do agree that she sticks with Giselle because Giselle is like a pillar on the show. You know what I mean? Giselle is not going anywhere. That's right. Giselle's not going anywhere. I agree with that. And I do think Robin sticks with her for that reason. But also, Robin shared that Giselle's the one who got her on the show when the producers were like, we are not feeling Robin. She's not really wealthy. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't want to put Robin on the show. And Giselle's the one that was like, give her another look. You know what I mean? So I feel like Robin knows that they are a tag team. Like, they are Batman and Robin knows that. And so Robin plays her part. And I don't think, how you see a story arc, even through the seasons, you see a story arc and you see people change. I don't think we're going to see Robin change when it comes to her relationship with Giselle. I don't think we're going to see her change and stand on her own and not always defend Giselle. I don't. I
agree with you. And even I like the Batman and Robin reference, no pun intended. So yes. And, in this episode, getting back to Newbie Mia Thornton, she does kind of cut off the conversation for a second. And she's like, listen. And she has that kind of Paris Hilton before she let us know that she wasn't the personality that she painted herself out to be.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I'm a good judge of character, and I feel like this girl really has a good heart. And everybody's looking at her like, what the hell are you talking about? Have you seen the other episodes? And Giselle's like, that's my girl. I F with her. Like, I'm with Mia Thornton. I like her. And everyone else, especially Dr. Wendy Osefo, they're looking at Mia like, you're kind of coming off like a little bit of a flip-flopper, because Karen is the one who brought you into this group, but now you're all of a sudden you're not really showing loyalty to Karen.
Right.
I mean, we just saw this on the Real Housewives of New York. Brashawn Shaw was brought on by Ramona Singer, and the first person she throws under the bus is Ramona Singer. So it's kind of a quick way to get in and also make sure you stay in, because at the end of the day, it just shows you're willing to go to bat with anyone.
Yes.
There's been a moment of going to bat.
Yes. I do think Mia showed that she is. I feel like Mia is down for whatever y'all want to do in the Real Housewives of Potomac. I feel like she's down for it, and she did demonstrate that. But it did also demonstrate a lack of loyalty. But then also, with these shows, you have to kind of think, do they really know each other? Should she really be loyal? You know what I mean?
Right.
Should she be loyal to Karen? Does she really know Karen? And it also made me feel like she is a fan of Giselle. She's a Giselle fan. And
oh gosh, I like it better. Even if you guys are going to lie to us as new housewives, I like it when they say, I've come onto the show, I've never seen the show. We're like, bullshit. You definitely did your homework before coming onto the show.
Right.
But I like it better like that. And I do feel like you said she could easily be a Giselle fan. Now, one thing I want to ask you, and I have to bring this up, you said that the Real Housewives of Potomac, it's one of your favorite franchises, and you kind of attributed that to the fact that out of all of the franchises, is it okay if I say what you said?
Yeah,
okay.
It's the closest to me locally.
It's close. It's the closest franchise to you. Okay.
Yeah.
My biggest question is, you know, my fiance Jason, he's from the DMV area and he knows a lot more about it than I do. When we watch it, his biggest question is kind of like how they raise questions about New York. Nobody's actually a housewife. None of them have husbands. Well, for Potomac, everyone always says the same thing. None of them actually own a house in Potomac except for Monique, and she's no longer on the show. Now, I was doing my homework a little bit. This.
Oh my God, the map. Okay.
The map, the 52-minute drive, that is not close to Potomac.
Okay.
What are we doing here?
Say it again.
I said, what are we doing here?
What are we doing? What we're doing here is a demonstration, right? Right. We're doing a demonstration. And so Potomac is kind of like a small town. And so that's the name of the show. And that's the vibe of the show. Because I feel like even like with Orange County, I feel like they want to give you a peek into almost like a small town, like a small, interesting town. You know what I mean? So I feel like it is a vibe, even if the people live in Baltimore or, you know, DC almost, I feel like they're still trying to give you a vibe. Now, as far as not owning their homes, you know, that's another thing. I know at one point, as far as them not being housewives, Andy addressed that. And he was like, the housewives name is kind of tongue in cheek. You know what I mean? It's not that serious as far as being an actual housewife.
Right.
But as far as not owning their homes, Adam, you bring up a good point.
I mean, sometimes, but you know, there's one person who she's our newbie, Mia Thornton. She owns her home, owns her penthouse. And the minute that she mentions that it's in the harbor, everybody's like, oh, a penthouse in the harbor. Now, I forgot what they said. They said, is it in this harbor or in Baltimore harbor? What was the other harbor?
I just call it the harbor. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just always say the harbor.
When she said Baltimore, they all were kind of like, oh, of course, it's Baltimore harbor. Like, it's not as good as maybe the other harbor that they would have thought she would have been talking about. Right. Is there a big difference as far as just the scale of living between Baltimore and?
Well, yeah, I'm not from, like, I don't live in DC. I live outside of what people call the DMV. So to me, I can tell you there is a big difference between Baltimore and, you know, Potomac. Like, that's a big difference. Like, Baltimore is an urban area, and obviously there's nothing wrong with urban areas, but when it comes to the price of real estate, the price of the real estate in an urban area is going to be different from how do I explain this, because DC is still urban, but it's a difference in the price of the real estate. So yeah, there is a big difference. Yes. Okay, well, since you brought up the topic of real estate, I always like to blame somebody else so I don't have to carry the conversation. Okay. I'm just kidding. But I'll take everything. The West Wing is complete, and Robin finally gets to see it. Okay, so the West Wing is complete. Giselle has finished her home, has a beautiful glam room, a great bedroom. I love the finishes, but Robin feels like this home looks a little bit odd, as if she built a home on top of another home. When she goes in there, I think this is probably the only moment of shade that we will ever get from Robin when it comes to Giselle, because normally she stands, you know, right next to her and thinks and talks and does everything that Giselle does. Yeah. What were your thoughts on the West Wing and Giselle's home? Oh my God. Okay, so I agree with what Robin said as far as it looking like two homes being put together, but also on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, you have Kandi, who literally also has two homes that were put together, but it still looks cohesive. You know what I mean? Like, Kandi's two homes and the connection between them looks cohesive. I feel like Robin was trying to bring out that it doesn't look cohesive. I feel like that was her main point. And with Robin, you know, doing real estate, I guess that's something that, you know, stood out to her. You know what I mean? It stood out to her to the point where she had to say something. Even if that's her best friend, she had to say, you know, this looks really weird. And I do feel like it looks really weird on the outside. I've come to the point in my life to where, like, right now, we're considering buying a new home. And I've come to the point where it's like a lot of homes that are beautiful on the inside, but outside, like, they don't appeal to you. You know what I mean? Like, it could be the color or just the way it's made. The outside doesn't appeal to you, but the inside is off. Yeah, the curb appeal is off. But I've come to the point where I feel like, you know, if I'm going to spend that much money on a home, it has to have the curb appeal too. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just care about the inside. Like, when I come home and drive up in my driveway, I do want it to look a certain way on the outside too. Not everybody is that way. You know what I mean? And Giselle, apparently it doesn't bother her. She loves her home. It is a beautiful home from the interior. Yeah, it doesn't bother her.
Got it. Okay. No, I agree with you. Actually, in Florida, maybe this is a Southern thing, and some people even say Florida's not Southern, but in Florida,
it's a whole other country.
Yeah, it is kind of like a whole, yes.
I used to live in Florida.
Yes. But I lived in a home just like Giselle's, and they called them frog homes because it was like a front room over garage. So they kind of looked like they didn't make sense either because the rest of the home was single story. So I get exactly what Robin's saying, but at the end of the day, these homes do exist. And like you said, it's a matter of just whether or not you care about the curb appeal.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people don't. They just don't.
They don't. And moving forward, though, since we're talking about Giselle still, I want to stay on topic. Giselle has made it a part of her storyline this season that COVID has hit, and it's really caused a rift between her and Jamal Bryant because she feels like this is kind of separating them even more than they were. And she even says, I feel like he actually lives in the phone, right?
Yeah, she admitted it. She said exactly what Karen said, that Jamal lives in her phone. That was crazy. That was crazy for her to actually say that.
I mean, I kind of give it to her because she was owning it, I guess. Yeah. But was this couple, Giselle and Jamal, they were accused of having sort of a fake relationship on season 5 so she would have a storyline? Were you buying the relationship that they were really trying to repair what they had, their union, or do you think it could have been just a part of a storyline? And also, hey, listen, I'll come help you with the storyline. You promote our restaurant that I'm giving to the daughters. We put that out there. It's kind of a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. I do think they work together. And when I read Giselle's book, which she says was loosely based on her relationship with Jamal, one thing she stressed throughout the book was that they are friends. Like before they dated, they were friends. Throughout everything, they've always been friends. And I can see friends coming together like, we're going to do this on TV. I do think it was somewhat trying to date. Like, I don't feel like it was a committed relationship. I feel like they were taking baby steps. But I do feel like it was definitely an agreement. And the way things happened made Jamal renege on that agreement. Like when he said he's not going to appear on the show anymore, I feel like that was him reneging on the agreement. So, of course, Giselle broke up with him.
Got it. Okay. And I mean, after Monique showed up to the reunion with the binder and receipts, it's kind of like, oh, it just shows you if you decide to be a part of the show, you're not off limits. And Andy Cohen has said that multiple times. Bravo does not protect the talent.
No.
One of those cases.
Yeah, not at all. And I feel like when it comes to dating, like one of Jamal's, I don't want to say girlfriend, because I don't know if they were in a committed relationship, but someone that Jamal was dating, like I've talked to her like on the phone, like I made a video and then she DM'd me after the video, like, girl, I got to talk to you. And so from what she told me, like my own conclusion, like she felt like she was really dating Jamal. Like I felt like she took it more serious. But in my own opinion, just assessing everything, I feel like when Jamal said he's single, he's a single man and he dates, like he multi-dates. You know what I mean? So I feel like Giselle was one of the women that he was dating. That was his ex-wife, but he was also dating her, but also dating other women at the same time. And he is single. He's not married.
To be fair, there's a lot of men and women who do that. There's a lot of people who go on dates. If you're in the dating phase, you're not stuck. You're not tied down. So you're just kind of seeing what's out there.
Yeah.
So we'll give that to you, Jamal. Before I move on, and I want to talk about Karen's love lunch and planning this love lunch. Do you miss Monique on the show, or do you think she's better off kind of doing what
Oh my God. I have strong opinions about Monique.
Okay.
And I feel like this. I low-key feel like Monique should be an influencer. Like I do miss her on the show in a way because of her family. Like I like when they show married people and their kids. Like I really like when they show their kids. Even with Phaedra, like I miss her kids. And with Monique, I miss seeing like her family and her kids on the show. I enjoyed that. And so I do miss her on the show. I did not like that she fought Candace, but I also felt like she fought Candace because she thought Candace hit her. But it was really Giselle that hit her. So I don't want to judge her for fighting Candace, but at the same time, I do feel like, she kind of lost me there a little bit. Right. But at the same time, what she's doing on YouTube, I feel like she should be doing like family vlogs. I feel like she should be showing her family more than like, she has like a tea channel, like Tea with Monique.
Right.
And I low-key feel like her vibe should be family with Monique because people have already fallen in love with her family. And I feel like she should be doing family stuff, not the binder stuff, not the tea stuff. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. I can agree with that. Well, getting back to Karen's love lunch, Karen's trying to plan this lunch where she invites all of the women to come over, and it's just nothing but positive and good vibes. It feels like Giselle's coming from a place of hurting. She didn't mean that. She shouldn't have been as harsh on Giselle as she was, which takes a strong and big person to be able to own that and be like, okay, I might have taken it a little bit far, so I'm going to extend an invitation to all of the women and have them come over. Now, Giselle, as soon as she got her invitation, was like, hell no, I'm not going. Threw that right in the trash can. Robin looked at it with Juan, and they were like, no, I'm not coming.
Okay.
Was Robin not going because Giselle wasn't going?
Possibly, but because you heard Juan say like he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want anything to do with it, and I felt in that moment it was like a couple's event, and her man just said he's not going, so it was just kind of, and then on top of it, it was Karen and Giselle so I feel like Giselle, the issue as far as Giselle and her loyalty to Giselle was secondary. I actually feel like it was because Juan was like, I'm not going.
Right. Okay.
It was a couple thing.
That makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
So this one, Robin, we will give to you. As for Ashley Darby, she did still show up single.
I know that's right.
Very pregnant, and I'm enjoying seeing. Ashley. She seems like she's happy. She last season gave us a lot more information as to what goes on in her life and how sometimes they had open situations. She of course doesn't want her husband to continue doing that with or without her. She feels like at this point, no, that phase of our life is over. And it seems like they're doing well. One of my biggest questions for you, though, is will they last?
You know what? Since you asking me questions before this is over, I'm going to have to ask you some questions, too.
Yes, please. I love that. Hey, I'm not here to grill you or put you on the spot. You can ask me whatever question you want. I'm an open vessel.
Yeah, we're going to go back and forth.
Okay.
Will they last? I feel like I would give them 10 years.
Okay.
I would give them 10 years. At least, and then I assume I get the feeling they would probably reevaluate things once their kids started getting in that age, almost like junior high age or whatever. Once their kids start getting older, I feel like they'll reevaluate things.
Right.
So I would definitely give them another 10 years.
Okay, 10 years is good. 10 years is good. All right. And I do want to kind of move this conversation over a little bit. Candace Diller Bassett was debating whether or not she would want to go to Karen's party because in this moment, she feels like she doesn't know if she can trust Karen again. After last season, she felt like Karen kind of took Monique's side, or by not taking any side at all, it was still taking Monique's side. So she kind of was left with some residual feelings when it comes to this. I get so iffy about even speaking on Candace because Candace had a little Twitter fallout with me, which I didn't even really engage in. But Candace I did an interview with Candace. I thought she was great. We talked about her music. We talked about her acting career, everything. And then somehow after a video came up about when the Monique and all of this drama came out, I think she felt like I took a side, which I definitely did not. But Candace is not an Adam fan. We understand.
And we'll talk about that before the end of this video. I do want to ask you about that because I wasn't clear what exactly happened.
Okay. Yeah, get your questions ready. We're gonna do this. Are you writing them down?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You're like, oh, Adam, the last 23 minutes you've been going at it, asking me questions. I'm gonna be ready for you. Okay.
I'm writing in my daughter's notebook.
I like that. All right. She's gonna take it to school. She's gonna go to school or virtual school, and she's gonna be like,
yes,
Adam and Candace Twitter feud.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm writing.
What the hell?
I didn't actually see exactly what was going on. So we'll talk about that. But as far you were saying, as far as
Candace, we see her in this episode, and she is working on school. And I have to give it to her. She's going through school. She's trying to record. She's acting. She's filming a reality show. She has her bonus children there that she calls them. She just bought a new house. First of all of these are big moves in anybody's life. Like if you start school, that's chaotic. You're trying to work on your acting or music career, chaotic. You just bought a house, chaotic. And trying to be a stepmother, I've never tried to be a stepmother, but I would assume that has its challenges as well. One of the biggest questions I have, though, for anybody who's watching right now, and guys, if you haven't already, smash that like button. Candace has decided to let her husband, Chris Bassett, take over her career in a husbander role. Now, he doesn't have any, from what he says, there's not really any real qualifications as far as being a manager. Right. He's a very talented chef, right? He's great at what he knows how to do and what he's done. But as far as being a husbander, are you married, Lailah?
Yes.
Okay. If your husband wanted to manage your career, would that be something that you would be opposed to?
Oh my God. Oh my God. He's the wrong one. He's the wrong one. So it's a different situation. So my situation is totally different. Like, he's not the one. He doesn't even, he doesn't have an Instagram. He doesn't get into social media. Like, he hardly gets on an actual computer. Like, he'll get on his phone every now and then and look at Facebook. But he is like, he's not engaging
in Twitter feuds.
No.
Okay.
He's not the one. Yeah, don't.
Got it. No, I honestly, Jason tried to help me when my YouTube started. Kind of at first, we thought it was going to take X amount to make it grow this much, and it started growing faster than what we were anticipating, which was exciting. But Jason was helping me a lot with it, and I noticed that sometimes we would have different creative opinions, and it's really challenging to work with your spouse on a project that you feel kind of is your own little baby, and you're trying to share it with this other person. Sometimes that has its challenges, but it can work. We've seen it before. And for Candace, it seems like Chris might be good for her in this sense, because even though she's like, I'm tired, like I'm busy, I have this going on. He's like, great, you need to do your 5 homework assignments, and then we need to get you in the studio. Like, I'm tired. No, we have to go make money, and you have to get this done. Which is good. He's pushing her.
And no, it's not good. It's not.
It's not good. Oh, okay.
It's not good for the relationship. In my opinion, it's not good to have your husband as a manager, because like he said, at one point you hear him saying, this is me speaking as a husband, this is me speaking as a manager. In real life, those need to be 2 different people. Like, your husband needs to be someone that is just your husband. We love each other. We have kids. We're raising these kids together. There needs to be a clear delineation between husband and manager. And I feel like it needs to be 2 different people, especially when that husband admits, he's not been in the entertainment business. This is not his zhuzh, you know what I'm saying? And he says that he's just managing Candace. And I took it the way he explained it, almost as if Candace is a child, like she's under his management, she's under his authority. And I'm not into that. When it comes to marriage, I'm not into that submissive and authority and those type of roles. I'm not into that. And I did not like seeing that. And I felt like it's going to affect their marriage, which I feel like their marriage is low-key already rocky. When you have, Candace coming from money. Apparently, it's clear that Candace comes from money and Chris does not.
Right. Oh, did you freeze? Lailah, are you back?
Yeah, did I freeze?
Oh, you froze you said, and Chris does not, and then it froze.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I was just saying that I feel like their marriage is already rocky, and this is going to make it worse.
No, and I can totally agree with you in that sense, just from someone who tried kind of taking this route. It's so much easier I can speak on my behalf, for me to personally invest my time and myself into my relationship without having all of these other, different avenues playing a role into our relationship. Because it's really hard when you have somebody who you just want to be best friends with, but then they're trying to tell you how to make money and what to do, and you need to do this. And then it kind of clashes with your creative control. It's challenging, and it does make for unnecessary problems within that relationship. So I do agree with you on that. Now, Candace, I was not the one who brought up that point, so don't come attacking me on Twitter. We still love you. Okay.
If you want to attack me.
Just join the club, Lailah. Just get on the Twitter feud. It's okay. We've all been there.
I barely tweet. If she tweet me, I'm gonna just look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going anywhere.
So, husband or Chris? Right now, for us, it might be a no. Okay, let's move on back to the love lunch. All of the women show up. First, Mia shows up, and Ray's like, "Ooh, who's this new woman?" I find Mia, while I don't think her mathematics skills are that great, I find her to be very beautiful. I think it's interesting to hear how many different businesses they run. Her husband is obviously a rock star when it comes to the business world. I think she said 14 or 15 joint chiropractic, different offices, which is amazing. Not only do they have that, but they have a full-time little family at home. And while he's, kind of getting older, she's stepping into that ownership CEO role and really taking charge. Now, some might question, especially fans, and I've seen comments, how are you going to step into that CEO role when you can't count an age? But you guys are being messy, because I think really she just didn't want to divulge her age, and she wanted more time to think about the answer she would have had, not knowing that they were going to ask that question. Because I felt like she was put a little bit on the spot.
Yeah.
But in the Real Housewives role, you have to kind of do it the way Erica Girardi did it. Like when they asked her, "Oh, what's the difference of your age with your husband?" She just owned it, and she's like, "He's X amount and I'm this. So it is what it is." And then they were like, "Well, how is he in the sack?" So you just know the women are going to pry, especially when they find out about your age difference, whatever.
Yeah. I think when it comes to reality TV, you can't really lie about your age, because people are going to Google you. They're going to Google, like if you bring on the show, like this is my friend from high school, they're going to go look and see, what year you graduated. Like you can't really lie about your age on reality TV. And I do agree. I feel like she wanted to, like she wasn't prepared to tell her real age. And for whatever reason, it did catch her off guard. I would think if I'm going on a reality TV show, I feel like they would ask me anything. You know what I mean? And the easiest thing to do is be honest.
And you can't have skeletons. Like so many housewives before, Karen has said this for the first 4 seasons. She said, I tried to portray myself as this person, and it was a character that I had to carry with me. And I wish I would have just been my most authentic self since the beginning and not tried to carry out the grand dame. Countess Luann really tried to put herself out there like she was higher than everybody, and now we've seen her fight with cops, get arrested, everything in between, go to jail, get out of jail, go to rehab. It's like we've seen it all. You can't have these skeletons. So if you're going to join a reality TV show, either don't, or just know that this is going to come out.
Yeah, just own it. Just know it's going to come out and own it. I think that's the best thing. And I feel like the fan favorites are the people who end up just owning it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. And I thought it was a pleasant surprise meeting G. I like the dynamic between the two of them, even though it's a little bit. You didn't?
I did not. I did
not.
Oh
gosh, let's do this.
Not when he was like, okay, so he put her as a CEO. She's the one running the business. And then when they have, a child together, their daughter, I believe she said 2 children, but the daughter is the youngest. And when she was fixing the daughter breakfast, and then she took a phone call, and then he was upset that she took a phone call while she was fixing her daughter breakfast. That to me was a little much, because it's like, okay, if you're retired and you have a young daughter that's between 2 and 3, you should be fixing her breakfast. Don't get mad that, Mia is taking a phone call while she's fixing her breakfast. Like that was triggering for me. That was too much. You can't be misogynistic. Like you can't be like, okay, a woman needs to be in a woman's place and take care of her kids and fix breakfast and be the homemaker. And then also say she's going to be the CEO. And this is an issue, but and then also say she's going to be the CEO and run the business. You can't put everything on her. You can't do that.
Okay. Well, when you put it that way, you have great points, and that definitely makes sense. I like the come up on the side that, she has by being with G and being able to, he's integrated her into all of these businesses. And I also like the fact that she said that she made her own fortune after finding out that they met in a strip club as a bartender, which Dr. Wendy Osefo thinks that she was a stripper. But maybe you're right. There are some red flags there. So I'm going to start kind of keeping my ears up a little bit more and seeing instead of just jumping. I don't want to Mia Thornton and be like, she has a good heart. And all of a sudden come back and eat my words and be like, wait, Adam, what the hell did you say? You said you liked G. No, now open my eyes and my ears, and I will be paying attention. G, we're watching.
Yeah, just pay attention. She can have a good heart and still be shady and still do all the things, that a housewife does and still have a good heart. So.
Okay. Now, when it gets to coming back to Mia Thornton, the women start arriving. Dr. Wendy Osefo arrived. She has her new boobs, her new butt. She's excited to share them with everybody. She looks great. I think she looks fantastic. And I love that her mom is like, I have these boobs now that I'm not happy with, and you guys are going to pay for them. I'm like, that sounds like that would be my mom. But you know, she's really proud, and she should be, because one, you have to put yourself under, it's anesthesia, right? When you get your boobs and your butt done, there's a certain.
Oh my God. So that's funny you bring that up, because generally it is anesthesia. Like, you go to sleep to get breast implants, but we've seen on Love and Hip Hop, we saw Apple Watts get breast implants not under anesthesia in a strip mall. So if you're doing it the right way, you are asleep. If you're doing it the wrong way, you're awake.
Oh,
so, I'm sure she did it the right way.
I'm watching Love and Hip Hop this season, and I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I'm waiting for the 3rd one, and I get so addicted. The other day, Kimpire questioned me. He's like, I don't know if I'm more surprised about what we're talking about or the fact that you watch Love and Hip Hop. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's one of my favorite shows. But,
it's like a train wreck.
it is a little bit of a train wreck, but so are all of our favorite reality TV shows. They're all kind of train wrecks.
Yeah, that's why we watch.
That's why we watch.
Yeah.
Well, the women start showing up. Ashley Darby shows up alone. She's eating. She's happy. She's content. She's pregnant. And then Candace Diller Bassett enters the room, and she's like, you know what? I'm trying to move forward. I don't really have the place in my heart right now, especially with her busy schedule. She's like, I'm going to move forward and carry this with me. I don't have time to be fighting with Karen, and I couldn't agree with her more. I think that Karen kind of put herself in between a rock and a hard place by not taking sides and then voicing the fact that she wasn't going to take sides and be in cahoots with everybody. I think that kind of presented a problem for her. But it looks like Candace is trying to move forward. Now, all of the women get in the same room, and Mia kind of retracts her statement saying that, you know, I don't necessarily know if she has a good heart anymore after wishing death on Ray. This is the moment where Dr. Wendy Osefo looks at her and says, wait a minute. So now she doesn't have a good heart? And then they start going back and forth. And Mia asks the question that, you know, I wanted to know too. Why are you guys mad at me? Like, if Karen's not mad at me when I was just trying to be friendly with everybody.
Right.
And Dr. Wendy Osefo said, I'm not done. Hold on. I'm still talking. And Mia just simply said, I'm done with her. I'm not doing this. Well, then she puts her hand in her face. Don't put your hand in my face. Well, I already did. What are you going to do about it? Where are you at with this little feud? What are your thoughts? This is just like, what are we doing?
Okay. So my thoughts are, I was glad when Mia said, I'm not dealing with you. Like, she can see Wendy has been talking down to Mia ever since they had the dinner scene where Mia was open about her plastic surgery, and Wendy was a little bit coy about hers. You know what I mean? So Wendy talks down to Mia. So when Mia said, I'm not going to talk to you, I appreciated her saying, if this is someone who talks down to me, I'm just not going to talk to them. Like, I appreciated that. But then on the other hand, when she put her hand in Wendy's face and was like, what are you going to do about it? I was like, we can't do this again. We can't go there again. We cannot do this. We can't do it.
We can't do it. It's only episode 2. And Candace's face was like,
yeah, like, oh my
God,
it's
not me.
Yeah. I thought that was horrible when she said, what are you going to do about it? I thought that was horrible. But I feel like Wendy, she's a sorority girl, if we're honest, right? Her and Giselle are both in the same sorority. And I feel like you see Wendy beginning to haze Mia, which is how sororities work. Like, when someone is pledging a sorority, they're getting hazed for the most part. And so I feel like that's what Wendy is doing. And I don't appreciate a grown woman trying to haze, quote unquote, haze another grown woman. I don't like that.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think Mia made it very known in the moment when she was like, oh, what else have you had done? She was going to reveal it anyways. And she wasn't the one who said your face looks different and it looks like you had a few tweaks, you know? And I think she kind of redeemed herself when Mia, or Dr. Wendy Osefo, looks at Mia and she goes, well, what have you done? Because you look like you've had a lot done. And she goes, you know, abdominoplasty. I've had my little like hoo-ha done. I've had my boobs done 4 times. I've had this done, Botox lips. Like, when she goes down the list, she's like, I'm not ashamed of it. And I was like, oh, she redeemed herself. She's putting her stuff out there. So it's not like she wasn't coming after you. She's just asking you a question.
Yeah. But Wendy takes it as someone coming after her. And that's the issue I have with Wendy. It seems like she's easily offended. You know what I mean? And I don't like the way that she talks to people.
I agree with that. I agree. And in this moment, they agree to sort of move on and disagree. Karen's like, we're going to press refresh, reset. We're not doing this. Let's take this to couples games. Now they start playing the couples games, and we saw, you know, that I believe, wasn't it Dr. Wendy Osefo who won this game?
I believe so. And they said it was, you know, because she has her husband trained.
But when she said not applicable, when they were talking about, you know, which wife here would you be interested in, or would your husband be interested in? She looks at him and she goes, "You better put none on there." You know, and she said that, and then as soon as they put not applicable, she looks and she's like, "Hey," and like high fives him. I'm like, "You just told him. We just watched it. It's not like he just like did that from." He's looking across the room at Mia. She even said, "It looks like you put Mia on there." You know, so okay, we see you. I have to applaud Mia Thornton for one thing here, though. Her and G are just kind of unapologetically themselves. They're already giving us raw footage of just who they are and what they're sharing, talking about having sex in the Waffle House bathroom to meeting at the strip club, talking about having her hoo-ha done and not even giving birth that way. She's just letting us have this information that nobody's asking for, showing that, okay, I'm going to give you it all except my real age. That's the only thing
That's the perfect housewife, if you ask me. I'm going to give you everything except this one thing. I love that she's so open. As far as Wendy and Eddie, I felt like Eddie did the right thing. Even if Wendy didn't tell him to put NA or whatever, I feel like it's the right thing to do to not name a name. Like how Ray named Katie, I feel like that was the wrong thing to do. Like, do not name a name.
No.
I kind of agree with that, because I would feel a way if I'm in my friendships. First of all, we would never ask each other these things. But if I'm in my friendship circle and my husband is asked that question, he better not name a name like one of my friends. I don't like that.
You better shut the hell up and drink your drink, friend.
Yeah, you can name a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? Somebody you don't know in real life. I'm okay with that. But no, don't name one of my friends and be like, she be looking good. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that.
It's weird. It's weird. And then you have like these residual feelings when you see that person and you're with your partner. You're like, oh, there's Giselle.
Yeah. So, I know you think she's cute.
Go be off with Giselle. You know, it's like, that's awkward.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we see that there's so much more to come with these women. I can't wait to see what little tidbits Giselle continues to give us about Karen. I hope that they're real, especially if you're going to drop bombs, make sure that they're factual. And I love the fact that Karen kind of got her socks off on being like, Sing Sing, did you like that? Was it good? It's like, okay, so we see what you're doing here. And we also know that Mia Thornton is about to take a handful of lettuce and throw it in Candace's face at some point in this season.
Yeah, I hate that.
Well, I hate when it crosses that line, because it kind of gets uncomfortable for everyone, including the viewers. It's not just uncomfortable for you being a part of it. I'm sure that it's even more uncomfortable for you. But for us watching, it's like, why do we have to take it there? Just rip her a new one. You guys are so good at that.
Yeah.
Resolution, do that. But
use your words. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like we're traumatized. Because last season, even for bloggers and viewers, it was a lot. That whole conflict between Monique and Candace, it was a lot. And so when I saw her do that and throw that lettuce at Candace, I was like, oh no. Here we go again. We can't keep doing that.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see how this plays out. With that is pretty much our recap of episode 2, season 6. Now, guys, I asked Lailah Lynn so many questions, and I put you on the spot a couple of times. I hope you come back. I wasn't trying. Yeah. I put you on the spot in a cotton candy way, okay? It's very true, nothing bad. Lailah Lynn is about to grill me. Apparently, she has some questions of her own. If you guys haven't already, smash that like button. Take the poll. Are you ready? Because I am.
I'm ready. I stay ready.
Okay.
I stay ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So I stay ready.
I like a woman that stays ready.
Yes. So we were talking about Chris and Chris's lack of management skills. And I actually had this conversation with Grace. So apparently something happened. You interviewed Candace, and Chris felt like after you interviewed Candace, I guess he felt like you took sides, and you took sides with Monique. So let's start there. Why would he think why did he say that?
Okay, so when I did my interview with Candace, one of the biggest things that was going on at that time, the interview dates back to June or July, and something that was going on was, the Bravo firings. Vanderpump Rules lost, at that moment, I believe they only lost 4 main key members of the show, but they eventually, for the total season, lost 8 people. And it was for racially insensitive content, tweets that resurfaced. And totally, there was a reason to be fired. And Bravo, the network, nobody should give you a platform if you're that ignorant. So that was my stance on that. When I asked Candace, because she was talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, and she was talking about what was going on during that time, the question came up, you know, how do you feel about the Bravo firings? Well, she said to me in the interview, she's like, I agree with it. You don't deserve a platform. If you're going to come out here and you're going to say certain things, it doesn't matter. I said, even if it was 10, 15 years ago, do you think people can change? She's like, no, I don't think that they should have a platform. So I said, I agree with you. Okay. And then we talked about her music career. And then I said, your husband, I said, he's an amazing cook. And I messed up by saying cook instead of chef, which that was totally, there was no shade there. I just mixed up the words in the moment. And she corrected me. And she's very, I mean, Candace is a brilliant woman. She corrected me and she said chef. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, chef. And she's like, yes, chef. And then she started to go on and boast about her husband. Now, after this interview came out, the season started to show and premiere. And then all of a sudden, a few tweets resurfaced from Candace that were from her past, like Queenie gay men irk me. And it was tweets that, you remember those?
Yeah, because she had to do PR after that.
Right. Yeah. Right. So there were a few tweets that fans were slamming her for being homophobic. Well, when all of this started coming out, I talked to somebody who I know close to Bravo, and they said, you know, I can't give you too much information, but what I can tell you is Bravo will be cutting a housewife going into the next season. I said, cutting a housewife? Like, who are they cutting? He said, oh, I can't tell you. And it was at the same time that all of this was coming up. And then, of course, Kyle, the blogger, who unfortunately passed away, when she said, you know, I hope the fat suffocates around your heart and you die. Like, it was just very intense. Like, it was very intense, and I just didn't understand it, but I also wasn't there to completely judge it. I didn't agree with it. Now, I did a video that said Real Housewives is losing, Real Housewives of Potomac, they're losing a housewife. And I made the thumbnail Candace and Monique, because in my mind, I put question mark, exclamation point, because I was explaining in the video, I don't know who, but I promise the source. Yes, it's a question. Yeah. Who could it be? We know that they're losing one housewife. Which one would it be? And then I raised the question of, you know, these tweets resurfaced, and I don't agree with these tweets. I think that they're horrendous, because there is somebody out there, and this is what we have to understand, being on the internet, if you're an influencer, if you're tweeting, your words can be weaponized as well. Your words can really hurt people. And there's some kid out there, whether they read something like one of the Vanderpump Rules, you know, racist tweets, if they read that and then it makes them feel a certain way about themselves, that's not okay. If you're a part of the LGBTQIA plus community and you read it and you feel less than, that's not okay. So my biggest question in that video was, could we be losing Candace instead of Monique because of these tweets and because of the death of Kyle, the blogger? Would that be, you know, what's going on? Well, after that, Candace, apparently from what we saw in the tweets, she felt like, since I did not contact her and text her or ask her first, like, are you getting fired or anything like that? And I just did the video, that it was disloyal on my end after we had a great conversation about 2 months before. I didn't feel like it was disloyal because I didn't say Candace is getting fired. I just kind of asked the question. And also, you're on here talking on season 6, talking about you're working, you're busy, you have an acting career, you have a music career, you're going to school, you have your bonus children. I'm not going to bother you with an inside source of asking that before I make a video, especially if I'm not saying down with Candace, she's being fired from the Potomac. I would have never said that, and I didn't say that. So I think that they interpreted it a different way. And then that kind of snowballed into the effect of, you're lucky that I even did an interview with a small time blogger who nobody knows and this, and I'm just like, whatever. I don't listen. I wish you the best. Everybody tune into the Real Housewives of Potomac. It's going to be a killer season. Candace, you're one of my favorites on the show. I can't wait to watch you. I'm sitting back as a fan. And I just said that.
I did not realize that's what it was. I thought it was just about the Candace and Monique drama.
No.
It was about Candace's resurfaced tweets.
No. So since I think what made it look like I was team Monique in all of this was I started to do collaborations with DJ Richie Sky, Monica from All About the Tea, and a few other bloggers who they obviously, they made their stance known of what sides they were on. But I was on there having different conversations with them. DJ Richie Sky and I talked about, like, we covered every episode of Salt Lake City together. That was our thing. Monica and I, we met on a totally different platform, and we used to cover other things together before Potomac. I didn't just come on and be like, oh, these guys are anti-Candace, I'm going to jump on their bandwagon. No, it's reality TV. I could care less. I hope you have a job. I would never want to see anyone lose food out of their mouth or the roof off of their head over something. You know, that's not my stance. I don't care enough for that.
Yeah, I don't think people understand that as bloggers, that we are literally just blogging. We're literally making videos, you know, about what's going on, you know, and sharing our opinion, but it's not our lives. You know what I mean? Like, we're not as invested as people might think we are. And I don't think people understand that. But yeah, shout out to Monica, shout out to DJ Richie Sky. Yeah. I enjoyed both of their channels. I did not realize that that's what the issue was with Chris. What I wanted to say was, because I reached out to Chris to interview Candace, because I felt like with the whole situation with Candace and Monica, I felt like I understood Monique thought that Candace hit her when it was really Giselle. And so I don't want to say sided, but I saw Candace's point of view on that.
Right.
And so I reached out to Chris, because if you go to Candace's Instagram at that time, it was like, basically the contact, I went through the channels and it seemed like the channel was Chris. So I reached out to Chris for an interview to interview Candace, and I never heard back. So low key, I felt kind of funny. Like, okay, I was understanding Candace's point of view. Like, she didn't put her hands on anybody. The people that Giselle put her hands on Monique, and Monique thought it was Candace.
Right.
And so I reached out for that interview and I never heard back. And so I felt like, okay, someone who understood Candace's point of view reached out to feature Candace on their channel, and Chris didn't respond. And maybe I'm too small of a blogger. You know what I mean? I don't know what the issue was, but he never responded. And this is by email and by DM. So that's two, non-responses. So he never responded. And then, Candace did the interview with you. And I don't remember what month I reached out to Candace. So I don't know if it was before or after. But Candace did do the interview with you. And then apparently Chris got upset about the interview. So it's like, you say you're managing her, but then people who see her point of view reach out to her to do interviews, and you don't approve those interviews.
Right. And that's where like somebody who would be really well-versed as a manager would probably handle that differently, and would be all over that. Even, when Jason, before he just took on his new job in the role that he's doing with a different company, he was all over my emails, whether it was something that we couldn't do, or if it was something, I had somebody reach out to me and it was a podcast that was very off brand for me, talking about different positions that you would want to do in the bedroom. And and I was like, that is not something I'm doing. Okay. And but he would, every single thing that he would email or we would receive, he would email back and be like, yes, definitely, let's schedule it. Or I'm sorry, at this moment, we can't participate in that. But he was all over it. And Jason is not a manager. So I just think that's why you would need, especially for someone like Candace, who's been on the show for quite some time now, and you have all of these things going on. She was just in a Netflix special. I believe she did a BET, either a show or a movie. So she's busy, The only thing that I really hated from this was when all of this came out, it was after the trailer dropped of my interview with Fallon. And when the trailer dropped, they said, or Chris tweeted out, Fallon, we can't wait to hear your truth, but I wish you wouldn't have done it with Adam. Hashtag fraudulent. And I'm like, fraudulent for what? That's
nothing.
You're being fraudulent for even naming me as that. So then I messaged him and I said, this isn't cute, and you should delete that tweet. And you could tell and I don't live with them, so I don't know, but you could tell it seemed like this was a state of mind that maybe you weren't completely there in the moment. Maybe, I don't know, was it happy hour? I don't know what the hell it was when you're doing these tweets, because everybody becomes a keyboard gangster after a few.
Right.
And, so he's like going on, and I said to him, take this down. This is ridiculous. And then he's like, I'm not going to do the back and forth with you. I've done that before with other bloggers. I'm above this. And I'm like, obviously in my mind, this is how I'm feeling. Obviously, you're not, because I have never said anything to you. I didn't know there was a problem, and I would never say anything to you. And if there would have been a problem and you would have just brought it up to me, if it was that big of a deal, because obviously it was that big of a deal, I just wasn't aware of it, then that would be where I would just think, okay, let's have a conversation. I can understand where you're coming from. Don't just slam me as being a fraud because there's this big interview coming out and you get to ride the wave of it with the numbers and, you know, like hashtag Fallon, hashtag. It almost seemed like it was so calculated on his end. And a few people I was even reading, fans of Candace's, were tweeting and saying like, "Ooh, girl, you need to get your husband off of Twitter, and you know, like, you need to
he's
stop."
Bad for business. It sounds like he's bad for business. It sounds like he is bad for business. That's what it sounds like to me. But you know what I mean, from a PR standpoint.
Exactly. And, you know, at the end of the day, again, the same thing that I said to her, you know, and she said to me, she's like on Twitter, she said pretty much like to the effect, it wasn't verbatim, but like, you're good at like, you know, gaslighting and you're good at kind of playing the victim. I'm like, I'm not playing the victim.
That's what she said to you?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't verbatim. It was, the tweets are there. So I'm sure you could go back and see them. Okay. They're back from the week of, June 10th, right before the Fallon interview actually dropped, because it dropped on June 10th. But you can see what she's saying. And I put, you know, like I got kind of annoyed because it kept going. And then finally I was like, you know, I'm sorry that you felt like I took a side after your homophobic tweets resurfaced. I wish you the best. Like hashtag RHOP, everybody go watch. And then I put @Bravo. And she's like, oh, real cute, tagging my employer. I'm like, well, what else do you want me to do at this point? I just want you to stop tweeting and tagging.
Yeah, you're trying to wrap it up.
Yeah, you have a bigger platform than I have. I'm not coming out here and diminishing you. And and I maintain my stance. I really think that Candace does well on the show. I love the fact that she's an intelligent woman, how she's not afraid to have conflict and resolution, and she'll read you for filth. That's what you need for a housewife. Some people question why she's still on the show. I'm not really one of them. You know, do I think in the moment, and I said this multiple times on my channel, did I think that the Post-it notes and, you know, all of that came off like a little bit much? Yes. Could it have been because of editing? Also, maybe yes. Or was she trying to sue Monique and get something out of it? Maybe that could have been it too. But I said that I never want to take away from anyone's pain. I've never had somebody grab me by the head and drag me across the table. I don't know what that's like, and I don't know how I would react if somebody did that, because maybe I would do the exact same thing. I don't know. I've never been in that position.
Yeah. As an adult, I have not been in that position either. So I'm not one to judge her on that in either. Yeah. So even if it was a civil suit where she's suing and she's trying to get this money because she was dragged across the table, you know, I can't blame her for it, and I can't judge her for it, because if my head was dragged across the table, you know, I'm gonna go for blood. Anything I can get, I will try to get.
Right. So, no, and you know, and I was also reading where fans were like, well, this time there's an old expression like, don't let your mouth overload your ass, and you know, you're instigating. And some fans, and it was very split. You remember this was a very it was a crazy rough time for Potomac, and we're watching, and it really split the fans. You had either Team Candace or Team Monique, and some people, you know, had their words about Monique. And then since we're talking about Candace, some people felt like she instigated and did a few things to kind of make that happen. And I also said, I don't care. You lose the conversation, just like we're talking about Mia Thornton. You lose me in the conversation the minute that you put your hands out there and you put your hands on somebody. That's when the conversation's over. You lost it. Now, if you can articulate and fight with your words and go that route, maybe, you know, maybe there's more to talk about. And I didn't even think about this. I went on her channel as a special guest on the panel with a few other people for Binder Time Stories when she was doing these different panels for it and talking about what she has coming up, and ask her a few questions. I did go on that for that, but that's like me saying, you know, like I've done so many videos on Erica Girardi and what's going on with the lawsuits. Like if I had an opportunity to interview Erica Girardi, I would still interview her, even though people are like, she's a liar and she knows this, and they want to, you know, you want her to be this villain and hope that, or you would think she would know everything about the scandal. But the old saying goes, you know, you're not guilty until proven guilty by the court of the law. And she has not been proven guilty. So, you know, that's something we have to wait for. It's weird blogging, doing YouTube. I've learned so much over the past year. I just celebrated my 1 year in June. And
oh, congratulations.
Hey, thanks.
Congratulations. At 1 year, I was at like 200 subscribers.
Really?
So yeah, at 1 year, yeah.
How many years have you been doing it?
It's been 5 now. It's been 5. I didn't start doing celebrity. Yeah, I started doing celebrity news 5 years ago. But when I first started, I was doing like vlogs and things like that. So at 1 year, I was less than 100 subscribers. But then once I started doing celebrity news, my channel started growing.
Wow.
So,
and you stuck with it.
Yeah.
And you have your silver play button.
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
See, that's all I feel like as soon as I get that silver play button, I'll be validated. Until then, I'm not a true YouTuber. I just want my
No, you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't judge because you're in my opinion, like you're one of the best as far as your content, your interviews, your presentation. So you can't judge by the number of subscribers because the number of subscribers is also related to an algorithm that you can't control. Like you can control your content, you can control your interviews, you can control what you're putting out there and how you're interacting with people, but you can't really control the YouTube algorithm.
Right.
So you're definitely a YouTuber. Do not judge by the number of subscribers.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Even Kempire just said, haha, come on, Adam. Kempire, I didn't mean to put that. Kempire, by the way, I'm watching Kempire too, and he's been on, I saw that he had his channel on YouTube for a while, but I think he really just got more active over the last few months, and I'm watching his numbers soar. And one of the things that I love, and thank you again for even coming on here and joining me, is the fact that we can all come together and do these collaborations, and we don't have to have the same opinion. That's what makes it fun. We get to talk, and it's not this like aggressive space where it's like, oh, you don't agree with me, I'm taking you down. Like that's
it's like you don't have to agree. You don't have to agree. Like we're all working. That's the thing, and that's one of the things I like about Kempire and you and Grace Report is the professionalism that you bring to YouTube. Like we are working. You know what I mean? This is not about taking sides and all of that stuff. We are working.
Right. I agree. All right. Well, was that the only question that you had to grill me on?
Yeah, that was the main thing. I was trying to understand. I'm low-key glad. Looking back, I'm glad that Chris didn't respond to my email regarding interviewing Candace because I wouldn't want to be in your shoes to where having interviewed her and then her expecting loyalty from me. I wouldn't want to be in those shoes. She's another one that had a misunderstanding regarding what bloggers do.
Right. No, I agree with that. I did an interview a year ago with Sutton on Beverly Hills, and I was so excited to see that she was a diamond holder this season. And I'm not agreeing with a lot of her on this season, but again, I'm sure she's not sitting back and giving what I think. She's probably like, oh, don't agree? That's fine. That's your own interpretation.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. This is a show, and you're going to have people who I don't have to agree. I'm not your puppet.
Right.
Yeah,
right. Right. You're not a puppet. Yeah.
Not a puppet.
Yeah. At all.
Well, Lailah, I appreciate you jumping on with me. And in the future, I would love to have you back, whether it's to talk about Potomac or whatever the case is. One day, hopefully, if you'll have me, I'll sneak over to your channel and we can jump on and talk about whatever you have in mind. I think that we have a new budding relationship, friendship.
Yeah, we do. And I'm so excited about it. Like I said, you're one of my favorite voices. I judge people by their voice and I enjoy your voice. So yeah, definitely. I'm honored that you have me on your channel, and I definitely want to have you on my channel as well. Thank you.
Well, shoot me a message anytime, and I'll send you a DM with my phone number. That way we can just text back and forth. It's easier.
Okay.
Thank you, Lailah. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will talk to you very soon.
All right. You as well. Talk to you soon.
Oh, wait, before you go, I have your information on YouTube anyways, but for anyone, I always say this, who's living under a rock, can you at least just let us know where we can find you?
Yes. YouTube.com/Lailah Lynn TV, or just Google Lailah Lynn. Just put it in your search bar, Lailah Lynn, put it in your YouTube search bar, your Google search bar, and I will pop up. And I'm here spilling the tea.
All right. And guys, make sure you go subscribe to Lailah Lynn. She has all this great content. And make sure when you subscribe, you not only subscribe, but hit the like button on the videos. It helps, like Lailah said, the algorithm. And the algorithm for YouTube is very important. And also, if you haven't already, go ahead, take that poll, smash that like button, and we'll see you so very soon. Bye, Lailah.
Bye.
All right, guys, we'll see you so very soon. And also, don't forget, on Thursday, we're going live with Monica from All About the Tea to talk about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That's going to be a fun conversation. On the beginning, the short end part of it, we'll be recapping, but then we're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive into Lisa Rinna's copyright infringement lawsuit for $1.2 million. Check out the pre-record that I just dropped. And more of this Ronald Richards, Erica Girardi back and forth on Twitter. So much to dissect, and I need another opinion. So with that, don't forget, we're going live on Thursday. Bye, guys. Bye, 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 bye.